Comeback complete. The 5th green jacket for Tiger Woods.
Wow. If that doesn't give you chills, then you just don't have a pulse. What a weekend. What a tournament. What a victory for the Big Cat. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Golf Guru Show. I'm your host, Jason Sutton, and I am the Guru. On this episode, I have my staff as we dig into the latest Masters, which we would constitute as definitely an epic win by the Big Cat, and our experience at the Masters this year, and just talking some golf and just where this Masters victory fits into golf history and some of the things that we may have picked up along the way this week, spending time in Augusta, and just our insights, from an older gentleman like myself and my two young assistants, Robbie Fales and Seth Mers, and their perspective, which I think is interesting. So we fielded some questions, we just have some insights and just some dialogue. I just felt like it was a necessity for me to do some type of recap and a show to commemorate this epic golf history moment, which I think we did a nice job of, and it was a fun little conversation, and I think you'll love it. So you can reach these guys on Twitter and Instagram. Robbie is Rob Fales Golf, and Seth is Seth Mers Golf. And hit him up on the gram, hit him up on the Twitter, because these guys are awesome, as you know. So we will get to this fun little conversation about the Big Cat and his 5th green jacket and victory at the Masters. Enjoy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Golf Guru Show. I am joined by my staff, Robbie Fales, Seth Mers. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us as usual.
Yeah, I felt like, just based on last weekend's events at Augusta, that we should do something to commemorate this moment. And I just felt like and we haven't done one of these in a while, where we've talked a little bit of golf, field some questions. The Tiger victory last weekend was just incredible. And I want to kind of dig into that and just dig into the Masters in general, because we were all down there at one point during the week. So we can also talk about some of the things that we observed, learned, what have you, and also field some questions from Facebook Live. Welcome for everybody tuning in to Facebook Live as well. But let's start with just what this means to the game. I mean, what the cool thing is, me being the old guy and you guys being young, is I was in high school when Jack won in '86, because this victory is getting compared a lot to the '86 Masters, and I think there's a lot of differences in my opinion, because Jack was 46, Jack wasn't in his prime. It was a bigger surprise, I think, than Tiger winning this weekend. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, what's the vibe that you get from just what you've heard with your clients and also just your general thoughts?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the guys who lived through that '86 Masters and say that I would say kind of shadows Tiger a little bit. I didn't live through the '86 Masters. Robbie is the same. We really can't put that into perspective. Yeah. I would say in our lifetime, in this generation, there's no better comeback story than Tiger coming back. I mean, the guy is the single most influential athlete to his sport than I've ever heard or thought of. And I think the ability for him to come back through so much adversity, the kind of things that Jack didn't really have to go through, didn't really put himself through, I guess you could say.
Yeah. A lot of them were self-induced, right?
Yeah, a lot of it. But I mean, you look at, even just 2 years ago was a lot of people kind of pointing out that was his rock bottom, the DUI and everything. That would be probably his lowest point. And the fact that 2 years later, and after 3 back surgeries, that he's 4
knee surgeries.
Yeah, and then he's back and he won a major and win a field that was absolutely unrealistic. I mean, it's just crazy. It's mind blowing. The fact that we were able to witness it was something special.
Yeah, I think, and I was watching it with my son, which was really cool to kind of share that. And even though he's younger than even you guys, that he's a big Tiger fan and didn't really get to see him in his prime. And then now we are his last major, or 2005, right? I mean, we're talking a big span there of time. I mean, what were you guys doing in 2005?
That was
Think
12.
about it. Yeah.
We were following Tiger. I mean, that's pretty much what it came down to. We were, 2005. I think 2007. I think was his last. I mean, we were worshiping Tiger, and for the last 10 years, we've all still been wondering what's Tiger doing.
Right. Yeah, because you never, you probably didn't get to see him in his prime in like 2000, 2001. You guys were really super young, and we tell the story, so it's kind of cool to see him back to reasonably full strength. But it wasn't like a huge surprise. I mean, I was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I literally, I cried. I'm going to admit it. I cried after when he tapped in. I was just like full flow.
Yeah.
My son's sitting there looking at me like, what's going on over there? But it's just, we've lived through the ups and downs. And when you're a Tiger fan, regardless if you are or not, it's so good for the game that maybe just needed a little boost. And it's cool to see the young guys sort of get to battle with, almost a full strength Tiger, or pretty close, a different Tiger for sure. What do you think, Robbie?
Yeah, I would echo all the things, really, honestly, that Seth said. Big thing is that it's so unbelievable to us, and we're watching from the outside. I mean, we're not in there with Tiger as he's doing his rehab, everything that he had to do to get back to where he's at. I mean, I could only imagine how the people who were really close to him during that time feel. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was interesting the last day when they moved the tee times up. He had to tee off at 9:20. So what time? What time do you have to get up? He said 3:45, just to get his body warmed up and get ready. And that's not super unusual for a lot of the players. I mean, I've had Mackenzie Hughes on, and he talks about he starts his warm ups 3 hours before his tee times, regardless of what time it is, with dynamic stretching and getting the blood flowing and working out and all this stuff that they do. But it was a cool week. It was a cool week for me because, I mean, I'm so spoiled, as you guys are starting to get, when you start to be able to go to Augusta for free every year, being a PGA member. I think this is my 20th year because I think I've missed 1 year since I've been in the Carolinas. And I get to share that with my son. And then also this year, my wife got to go for the first time. So we went down Tuesday, and it was a rainy day, but it's cool and it's also cool for me to see some of my friends out on the range coaching, like James Ridyard and John Graham. So we got to hang out with them a little bit, and everything starts there, and I always get down there to learn something about coaching as well, right? I'm kind of observing I'm more into like hanging out the range in the short game area really than even going on the golf course anymore, because I get to experience some of the drills and show how the guys prepare. And then afterwards, we got to actually go to Molinari's, one of Molinari's houses, to kind of hang out with James and John and talk to his team, right? So, I mean, talking about a team, I'm going to have his trainer on the podcast at some point. We talked to him, super nice guy, very knowledgeable, and he has his performance coach, and Dave Allred there. He's got his caddy. I mean, talking about, it takes a village for these guys that are really getting it done. But shout out to James Ridyard this week for what a job he's done with Molinari's short game. That guy was ridiculous, right? At one point, he was 18 out of 19 up and downs. Kept him in the tournament, right?
Augusta.
Absolutely right. Yeah, exactly. It's one of the hardest places to chip and pitch it, on the planet. So you guys were down there. Seth got to experience it firsthand. He was there Sunday, and you were there Friday, Robbie?
Yes.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your experience this week.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I actually met up with our mutual friend, Coach Kevin Britt. So shout out to Britt Dog.
Britt Dog.
And so I walked with him and his family. We watched Dustin basically play his entire round, and that was a great experience. I got to kind of pick KB's brain a little bit about Dustin and what he thinks, based off of what he's seeing, which was a really it was a good insight. And then just being there, honestly, like if you've never been, then it's hard to relate, but it's the most magical place on earth, I think.
Yeah, it's
It really is.
for me, it's happier than Disney World.
It's the golf Disney World, right?
Yeah, and so my first experience, it was my first Sunday at the Masters. I'd only ever been on Monday and Tuesday. Only been a PGA member for 3 years now, and getting to go down there on we went Saturday afternoon, about 4, and Sunday we got up at 4:30 and hit the gates as soon as we possibly could. And it was the crowds were just incredible. I mean, I've never been in a place that's so well suited to have that many people. That's the craziest thing, because I was at the PGA Championship last year up in St. Louis, and fewer people at that tournament than I would say other PGA Championships or other majors, and it felt so crowded and it was impossible. I saw one shot of Tiger in 2 days, and it took me an hour and a half, and I was still 20 rows deep. I was able to see him 5-6 times on Sunday.
That's incredible.
Just because the facility, the layout is so well suited to have that many people following one person, but the crowds themselves, I mean, it was unbelievable. I've never, words can't even put together the people that were there, and you could just feel that Tiger momentum going into Sunday that I haven't seen or felt in so long. It was so cool to just be there firsthand. And we posted up our chairs on 18 green, just short of flag high left. And I mean, when he was walking up 18, once he hit that shot past the flag, I mean, everybody knew all he's got to do is 3-putt it to win.
Mm-hmm.
It was just absolutely. We were all standing, beside ourselves, and the emotion through the crowd was just so special. You could just feel it. It's just different than any other person holding out for a win.
What was the biggest roar? Do you remember? Like what?
I think six. I would have to say 16. The one that I heard personally, at least, would have been 16 when he stuffed it on 16.
So the shot
coming down the
itself,
stretch.
yeah, because
the shot itself.
going in.
And then I think the make was equally deafening. I mean,
Right.
it was, if I felt like I was at a college football game in the SEC or something. I mean, it was that kind of atmosphere. It was just unbelievable. I mean, the roar for his shot on 16 had to have been twice as loud as Bryson DeChambeau's hole out on 16 earlier in the day. I mean, it was unbelievable. The crowds were just phenomenal. It was so much fun to watch and be there firsthand.
It really is something how the roars echo. Like it's almost haunting. Sometimes.
If you're up that leaderboard and he's behind you, yeah, absolutely, I'd be haunted too. I mean, it's so funny. You've got that chatter through the crowd. Obviously, nobody knows what's going on, and you can always tell, like, oh, that's a Tiger roar. Something just happened.
Yeah.
He could be on hole 11. You're on 4. You're the furthest place from him, but that's a Tiger roar. It's just different.
It's different, isn't it?
It's special.
Yeah.
And that's something that he does for a game that I can't see anybody else, having that impact.
So what do you think his keys were this week? Because I just did a little video for Swing U and just sort of highlighted what I thought were like his 3 keys to winning, and I'd be curious to hear your guys' thoughts. If you had to sort of narrow it down to 2 or 3 things, or some of the moments, or a shot, like what do you think?
Well, it's hard not to say that his course management, I thought, won him that tournament. I mean, Scott Fawcett's been saying all over Facebook, like, if you want a free decade seminar, you go back and watch his back 9.
Yeah, I would agree. That was one of my keys. I thought was strategy. I mean, specific shots. I was telling you guys the other day, like, I've been watching Masters highlights and videos forever, and even when Jack was playing, he always said, you can't miss it short on 9, and you got to hit it over the bunker on 12. You can't go for that back right pin, and that's exactly what he did. So he misses it long on 9, which I thought was, I know he flushed it a little bit and got it a little deep, but you don't miss it short. And he had that incredible 2-putt there. I thought that was awesome. That was one of the key moments of kind of keeping his round together.
That's the best putt Tiger's ever hit that didn't go in.
Yeah. It took like 22 seconds.
23-second putt. Yeah,
that putt is incredible. And then I thought the shot that he hits over the bunker on 12 after Molinari hit it in the water was key. I mean, he stuck to his game plan. Daggone if he didn't almost 3-putt. He left it about 6 feet short. I was like, you can't. I was screaming at the TV, like, no, you can't 3-putt after you just made the best decision ever. And then the shot on 15, I think, is the one where Scott Fawcett's been highlighting how important that shot was to play into that spot, not getting sucked into trying to go at the flag and just playing smart golf, right? So he finally hits, because I think early in the week I tweeted out like if Tiger, I think it was the second day, if he just like hit good drives on the par fives where he can get to him, he kept hitting poor drives at the wrong time. He would have been winning by 4. Now, of course, all other things equal, he made up some shots and some good putts on some other holes. I get that. But my point is just if you can just play smart, normal golf, those guys were all hitting mostly irons into, 2 if you can get it over the hill, 13. Obviously, I mean, he had 7 iron into 2 the second day, I think, and made par. Right, hit it just over the back of the green, didn't get it up and in. And then 15, he finally flushes one down the middle and hits a great. I thought that was the greatest long iron I think I've seen him hit in a long time. He didn't get lured into pulling it at the flag. 2-putt birdie, and then next thing you know, he's got a chance. What else do you think?
Sorry,
go ahead.
No?
I think his putting, his short game and his putting was the best that I've seen it in past years. I mean, even recently, he had the chipping. Some will call it the chip. The definitely. I don't like
or just poor technique.
We'll call it poor technique.
In between release patterns.
Right. Wasn't matching angles. But his short game was so much better this week than I've seen in a long time. Even if he was missing greens, which he didn't seem to miss a whole lot of greens.
Well, he led the field in greens regulation.
He was able to recover splendidly, and his putting was very good. I was very impressed with his short game.
Yeah, I thought his speed was a little bit off the first couple of days. I mean, like he had a bunch of 3 putts, but there's a couple of putts where you're like, oh, he's got to make this, inside of 10 feet. And he seemed to match up his speed a lot better the last day, in my opinion, except for the putt on 12. Really, he had stone dead most of the day, especially on 9. I thought, even though it was almost like everybody was talking about how much better he drove it. Stats would say it wasn't like phenomenal, but for him, that usually is his weakness. He drove it better, but again, I think he drove it poorly in some bad spots. I thought he got lucky on 11 the second day, but I thought he was able to work the ball both ways, which I hadn't seen him do in a long time. He could hit the bomb draw and then also hit that squeeze cut out there.
Yeah. To that, about his driving, you don't lead the field in greens and regulation if you're not driving it in a position to where you can hit the green. I mean, that's something we tell our students all the time. Like, I'm like saying, listen, find it first and drive it just in a position where you can advance it towards the green and then get it down there as far as you can. And he didn't always get it down there as far as I think he could. Like, he's hitting in, a suboptimal shot, but he's hitting it in play. He's hitting it in a position to where he's having opportunities to hit the green. And I think that was something that was really cool to see out of Tiger, that he's got a go-to shot off the tee, that if he needs to get one in play, needs to hit a green, that he can put one out there. Yeah,
that was what he said in his presser, I think, afterwards, after he made the putt on 16, and he knew he had, a 2-shot lead at the time. He's like, this isn't over. Thought back to 2005 when he made bogey on 17 and 18 and had to go into a playoff. So he was like, all right, now I got to refocus. There's so much you can learn from that guy as far as just the mindset. I was getting frustrated watching him the first couple of days because I'm like, oh my God, he just made a bogey he made a par on an easy par 5, and he just looked like he was just walking in the park. Like, yeah, I got it. I mean, everything's fine. Just kind of let everybody fall away, and it's almost like he just knew something was up. Yeah. It was just an interesting mindset. As I'm getting impatient watching, he displayed more patience than I think. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's difficult to do as a golfer.
And when we're talking about staying patient, really, we're talking about bogey avoidance for the most part, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know, like, what was his bogey count for the week relative to the field? Anybody know?
I don't know. We'd have to look it up. But yeah, or the bounce back stat, right? Not letting it affect the next hole. And he's definitely one of the greatest at doing that. Even when he used to throw little tantrums, he would always get it back pretty quick and seem to back up a double with a birdie.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So what about the rest of the field? Like, who was your biggest disappointment, you think?
And I hated seeing Molinari fall apart on that back nine. That was so hard to stomach, especially with James being one of our good friends. We're rooting hard for Franny to get in there. And
I thought he was unbeatable, man.
Yeah,
I was shocked. I mean, I thought he had it for sure.
So stone cold for so many holes in that golf tournament, and to see him finish the way he did was was tough to stomach, but he still had a hell of a golf tournament.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the week, and certainly earlier even on Sunday, there were times where you were thinking, okay, he's in a tough spot, but then he would just get right out. He'd make an 8 or 10 footer for par, and I was like, this guy is just solid as a rock.
Scrambling was amazing. What about Rory? I mean, I think that would probably come to mind for me. That's the biggest disappointment for the week. I mean, I really coming in, red hot.
Yeah, been playing really well.
I thought he would contend.
Even Jordan Spieth, I know he hasn't had a great year. The last couple of years, he's kind of not necessarily fallen off, but definitely struggled a little bit for his expectations. And to see him and how well he's always played in the Masters to even kind of still fall off a little bit, I was kind of expecting a little bit more. But maybe that's just kind of where his game is right now.
Yeah, it's definitely not. He definitely doesn't have his A game, but he tends to find something there every year for whatever reason. It's kind of the magic. And he played pretty good the last couple of days, but it was just too little too late. Yeah, I would definitely say he's a disappointment. I thought Bryson, after the first day, the way he started, I was very shocked that he didn't hang in there and at least contend. He just basically spit the bit. Early on, second round, really, he was toast.
Yeah,
Thought he had it figured out.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one player that just continues to impress me is Brooks Koepka. I mean, that guy's got one head on his shoulders. I mean, he is unbelievable when it comes to major play. He looks so numb to everything.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to watch him. He's so impressive. I think he's going to win a lot of majors upcoming.
Turns it up in the majors for sure. That's the main thing is like how do you get a player to peak that at the right time?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some kind of formula figured out. Yeah. So you don't think what do you think about the comment that Brandel made about him losing the weight?
I didn't see that.
I didn't know.
Robbie, you got to watch more TV, bro. We can't do this.
What did he say?
Well, he made I guess he had lost. He had lost 20 pounds, I guess, to do like a photo shoot or something, and he said it may have changed his golf swing. So Brandel is a little critical about him doing that and sacrificing, maybe feeling different or whatever, and pretty much put that to bed the first day when he shot 66.
I don't think we should pay too much attention to what Brandel Chambly has to say sometimes.
There you go. Boom.
Sorry, shots fired. He doesn't have a whole lot of comments that I tend to agree with. I would probably say.
Yeah, I still just want to know why I'm blocked. I just want to have the opportunity to ask.
Did you get blocked too?
Why am I blocked?
You got blocked?
Me? Yeah, for no reason.
Oh my gosh, man!
Well, welcome to the club. There's been a long line of that going on. Mm-hmm. That's funny. So what else? What other thoughts, ideas?
I think, and this is something that's definitely been tossed around there, is Tiger's different than he used to be in that he's not that stone cold killer, quiet, keeps to himself kind of guy anymore. It's almost like he seems to have a better appreciation for it. He's a lot more vocal. He's got more smiles on his face when he's on the golf course. He's talking to other players, and I think it's his way of actually kind of almost kicking back and relaxing and say, okay, I am Tiger Woods. I don't have to go out there and be so shut down mentally. I think he's actually able to kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah. They asked him in his early press conference. They said, one of the girls said, "Do you feel like you need to win? Or do you have to, or what was it? Do you need to win or do you just want to win?" And he goes, "I don't need to win."
Yeah.
I've got a pretty darn good resume, right?
He really has nothing else to prove.
So I think, the word that comes to mind when I look at his demeanor now is more he's grateful.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
He's grateful for the opportunity to be able to literally just play golf again. He's grateful for now being able to share that victory with his kids.
Right.
That was cool, right?
So cool.
Yeah. I was actually coaching one of our members who had the same back procedure as Tiger. He says the fact that he's able to go out and swing a golf club, he said, is a miracle. Like, people just don't come back from that.
Well, he turned down an opportunity to be a coach at a President's Cup because he couldn't ride in the golf cart.
Yeah,
right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that he couldn't ride, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't ride a golf cart. He was scared he couldn't walk again. And 2 years later, he wins a major. I mean, it's just it's unheard of.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. what causes what, but I know as a kid growing up watching Tiger, not to say I wouldn't be where I am right now doing what I'm doing right now if it weren't had something to do with him, but he had to have. I know that he had a big impact on my early career and my passion for the game.
So much.
Sure. Yeah, everybody has a lot to thank for his contributions and getting people in the game, and now he's doing it again. I think it's like he's almost reviving the passion to. Now we're all like, all right, is he going to break Jack's record?
Right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the talking. The 15th might be the hardest one he's ever won,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's got a few more years. He's running out a little bit of a small window, but it's doable now.
He's got Pebble coming up this year.
Yep.
He's got
He's got Bethpage
PGA,
Black.
yeah.
Bethpage. So he's had success with both of those venues. And he can win anywhere over in Europe
Yeah.
when you don't have to drive her every time. I mean, I think it's definitely doable now. It's interesting now that we got something to sort of watch out for if he can stay healthy.
It's so interesting to see because we work with a lot of juniors on a day-to-day basis here at Carmel, and it's so fun to one of the questions we always ask the kids, who's your favorite golfer? Well, the last 4 or 5 years it's Jordan or Ricky and
Justin Thomas.
JT and
Yeah.
DJ and J Day and those guys. And now it's almost a blanket statement these kids put together. Once he's back, it's Tiger.
Yeah.
This kid's 5 years old. He doesn't know old Tiger, right? He never experienced them, but he's back in, and it's just crazy the impact that has even on the younger generation that didn't even get to experience what we got to experience growing up. It's like a second dose of childhood for us. It's kind of a neat impact that he has on the game.
For sure. So I don't even think this is not the 86 Masters. Like I think that's yet to come.
Yeah.
You guys are just getting a glimpse of.
Maybe he'll be 50 plus when that happens.
Right. You don't know, right? I mean, it could be. Yeah. I mean, because again, we're not surprised that at 43 won because I mean, look, he's been in contention. The last three majors?
Won the tour championship.
Wins the tour championship, but even there, he was in contention.
Yeah.
The last few majors in the mix, right? So it wasn't like he's coming out of nowhere. We all knew it was possible, but just like seeing it was like, I can't believe what I just saw.
Yeah. I'll admit, like you, Jason, I lost it a little bit when they showed the clip of him hugging his dad and then him hugging his sons, like right back to back. That got
man.
me.
Yeah.
That was a special moment.
That was so cool. And his mom being there and, just the family deal. And then the guys waiting around like that, it was Ricky.
Yeah.
Who else was
Brooks was there.
Brooks was there. Zach
Bernard.
Johnson, Bernard Langer. Yeah. But
that didn't used to happen.
all the young guys like Freddie Couples and
that didn't used to happen after
right.
when Tiger
like
would
you
win.
said, but in his day, man, he was a killer. He was like, I don't care
Cutthroat.
about anybody else. I'm going to beat everybody by 50. Now it's like he's the mentor to these young guys, and he wants to beat them, but he also is. Him and JT are good buddies. Ricky, these guys, I mean, they hang out.
Yeah.
Which is so cool I like the Ricky statement when he got interviewed. He's like, I should be taping this. Yeah, right? I mean, it's almost like they're afraid. Like, it's just a cool vibe. And hopefully, he's got 5-6 more years to do some more damage.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, he's gonna be contending every major, I think, for the next couple of years, I think.
So one of the questions that I got on the DM last night was one of the guys wants us to talk about the fact that Tiger supposedly doesn't have a coach, a swing coach. What do you guys think about that?
Does he?
I don't know.
I guess Chris Como did his job. Coached himself out of a job, right?
You stole my thunder there. I think Chris Como. Shout out to Chris coming on the show next week. By the way, put a little pressure on him if he listens to this, or he can't cancel on me. So I think if you think Tiger hasn't been consulting with somebody in the last couple of years, you're nuts. He's talking to somebody. Now, do I feel like he understands his golf swing probably more than he ever has? And I think that's where Chris didn't get enough kudos because Chris was dealing with a hurt Tiger the whole time. And Sean too, a little bit, right? So I think they both probably didn't really get a chance to do their best work just because he was always getting hurt and he was in pain, right? But I think the time that they spent together, because what was the first thing that they talked about when him and Chris started working? They're getting back to what he used to look like in 2000 or whatever, as best they can, right? Club's a little more upright, whatever. So it's definitely, I think, him owning it, but also it could be the fact that he's not being as analytical about looking at video and messing with his golf swing as much. And he's out there just playing the game.
Yep.
But I guarantee somebody's helped him with his short game.
Somebody's fixed it.
Right? So,
It looks totally different.
and I know Chris, but before the consulting work was over, I think they had it figured out. From what I had talked to Chris a little bit, he didn't tell me exactly what they did, but I could see a big difference in what was going on. But yeah, so I don't know. At this point, obviously he doesn't need a consultant. But I guarantee he's got plenty of people on speed dial if he has a question.
Sure. And I think a big part of what's different about the Tiger of now, even from the Tiger of 6-7 years ago, as he was going through his drought, is I think that he doesn't have as much ego as I think he used to. Right, when he was working with Sean, one of the things that Sean mentioned is Tiger had to be the longest one on tour. That's what he always was. And he simply wasn't anymore. These guys were catching up to him. He was slowing down a little bit, and he couldn't accept that. And I think now he's got a pretty good, almost a more respect for the rest of the field, and that he's got to find another way to beat him now, which it used to just be he would just overpower golf courses and just straight up beat you off the tee. And his length was such an advantage that now these guys have surpassed him, and I think he's kind of set his ego aside a little bit more and figured out that, okay, I've got to find other ways to win golf tournaments. And I think from a mental aspect, he's on another level.
Yeah, he's got to play a different game than he's used to, which and he's always thought he was the greatest at adapting to whatever the environment gave him or whatever his body's given him and whatever his swing and his game has given him. And now he's got and he's not short. I mean, let's get that straight, right?
But everybody else is caught up.
Him and Phil are like moving it at 120, and Phil's talking about hitting bombs at 125.
Can we talk about that video?
Did you see? Yes, let's talk about the video. Yeah, that was funny as heck. Yeah, too bad that Kuchar wiped his butt on the weekend after he made that little shout out. But talk about that.
That was too funny. The comment as he's driving in, just so cavalier about it.
I mean, hit bombs,
and that's what I'm going to do: hit bombs,
and
attack the pin.
That jab at Kuchar just absolutely.
That was so good.
Yeah, no real side action today because even if I win, I might get 0.06%.
Tell the listeners what it entailed, so they may not have seen it. And I'm sure everybody's leafing through their phone right now to find it.
So it was a jab at Kuchar for his whole his caddy fiasco from a few weeks ago down in Mexico, and Phil's coming in paired with Kuchar in the day. I guess it was Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday?
He's driving down Magnolia Lane, right?
Driving down Magnolia Lane. You can see people taking pictures right outside his car window. They have no idea that Phil Mickelson's driving by right now, and he just says, well, because obviously he's a big gambler, and so he said no side action today because even if I win, I'll only get paid 0.06%. And I thought that was hysterical.
And then he also talks about a Dave Pell study where he found that in getting 1% or what is it 10% better in each category never equated to lower scores, except driving correlated at Augusta National.
Right. Yeah. Only at one course is Augusta National. Yeah.
Somebody forgot to tell him you have to actually find it too.
Yeah.
He was hitting bombs into the Magnolias.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's still so cool to see. Again, we grew up with the Tiger and Phil era. Those two duking it out. If one didn't win, the other one did. And so if you were competing against them in that age, you came in third. That's what you were playing for. And so it's still so cool to see.
I thought he played well.
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't play bad.
Impressive at 48.
Yeah, very cool. And he's obviously working with the Super Speed team, and and getting his club head speed up to 125 with a driver at
I mean, how do you?
50 years
That's
old.
amazing. Yeah, I feel like he'll be the next kind of VJ. He won't
Oh,
be
yeah.
playing the senior tour much.
Yeah,
He'll
no,
still be
I-
playing on the big tour for a few more years
No
after
reason
50.
to. He'll be tearing up the senior tours. He'll maybe transfer over to the Champions Tour around 65 or so.
Shout out to Bernard Longer.
Yeah.
That guy's just a machine, right? I mean, makes another cut at the Masters. Just ridiculous. I mean, what other surprises? I'm trying to think.
Amateur.
Amateurs played well. Javi played great. I mean, that kid's getting ready to turn pro. You know, him and Matthew Wolf are going to be the next regime coming out. I was super impressed with him.
So I think the next big question is who's going to fix Adam Scott's putting?
Oh,
I mean, that guy hit it
I had
so
more
well.
comments this week from my students going, "Can he just can I get
Come
you on
on,
speed
just-
dial?"
just one time.
Just like
Just one time, come down to the dojo.
because that
Adam.
guy. I mean, he's obviously got the ball striking back. You know, and he putted okay for first couple days, and then it's just like it's hard to ball strike your putting at Augusta. You still got to roll it. Gosh, I mean, I have to take a closer look, but I mean, he missed some short putts.
I mean,
It was bad.
painful.
And I think he switched putters in mid tournament as well. That's never a good sign.
we were behind 4 green on Sunday watching a bunch of groups, and he'd come through and he missed right to a back left pin, impossible shot. He putted it across the green, off the green, and then he putted it to like 4 feet. And I'm sitting next to an Australian dude who's from Sydney, Australia, came to the tournament, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm here to watch J Day and Adam Scott. Let's do it. Let's go." And then Adam Scott blew it another 4 feet past all. He goes, "Oh, he can't even sniff it from there." And sure enough, he missed that one.
That
and
was his
almost,
range.
Almost missed the comeback.
That was his throw up range.
Oh, it's difficult to watch because he's such a good ball striker and such a good.
Bring
hitter.
the long putter back.
Oh,
He needs
Jesus,
the crutch
man.
again.
It's brutal.
Oh, he's killing us aim pointers too,
Tough to
right? I mean,
watch.
because
that's
because you know he reads them pretty well.
Yeah.
You just can't get the thing started
so-
online with the right speed.
Like I keep hearing people in the back of the crowd say, "Well, he's doing that aim point thing." Like maybe that's why he can't putt. No, that's the only reason he's not four putting.
I was
every
going
hole.
to say, yeah, that's the only reason he knows which direction the thing's going, right?
Yeah.
It's
He
not.
knows,
it's not
where
an
to hit
endpoint
it. He
problem.
just can't hit it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's definitely. I'm trying to think. What's the? Gosh, I should have had my phone. My phone's on the Facebook Live. We got any questions there coming through? Any comments? Anybody watching?
We got 3 right now.
Poulter. That was that
Poulter.
was an
I was
interesting
surprised.
one. I
Poulter played
didn't
well.
See that. Yeah, it was very very interesting to watch.
That was a nice little pairing with him and Tiger
Yeah.
on Saturday.
It's very cool.
I thought he played extremely well. I'm trying. Who's the guy? Who's the kind of the no name that was up on the top of the leaderboard for most of them? I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank. He gets invited back next year. He's like finished in the top 16, top 10. Can't think of his name. Not that important.
The other guy I was impressed with was Xander.
Yeah, Xander
Xander
just
Schauffele.
continues
He's
to get
impressive.
better, right? I mean, people don't realize. I mean, he bogeyed 15 and 18 and lost by a shot.
Yep.
He was one of the top. Yeah, just I mean, and then DJ just kept sneaking up. Nobody talking about him. He almost ruined the whole party.
Cantley.
That
was the one that
no,
was
Cantlay. But I'm talking about. There's another guy who was it that finished?
Harding.
Yeah, Harding.
Yeah, Harding was another one that got it.
Yeah, that was
Because I think
Justin Harding.
I think he got it to 12 at one point.
Yeah, he was right there. And
When there was 5 guys. tied
nobody
at 12.
talking about that guy. But yeah, what about Cantlay? I mean, that guy's always been super impressive to me.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna win. He's gonna win a major. He's gonna win a lot of golf tournaments if he stays healthy. I know he had back issues coming up as well, but that guy's super solid. I was listening to the No Laying Up podcast, but they were talking about the recap and talking about he's kind of the guy that just doesn't give a crap about anybody right now. He just wants to get it done. Like he's super business, right? He's all business. I like that about him. He's a TPI guy too. He's shout out to Titleist. How cool was it to have Voke in the house?
Yeah,
this morning?
I had
was cool.
Bob Vokey in for a little seminar, teacher training.
Yeah, that was great.
One thing I wanted to also bring up was you got the opportunity to go inside the ropes with some coaching during the Masters. So I wanted to hear what some of your big takeaways were.
Yeah, so just watching watching James Ridyard, work with Molinari was interesting. And it's nothing that we haven't seen before, but I always just like to watch how the coaches interact and how they prepare their players. And a couple of things that I noticed. One was, and this wasn't so much James, but it's just, again, part of the team, is every wedge shot or every pitch shot that they hit was measured by the hole. And that was Dave Allred was doing, the performance coach was measuring. So he's sort of, I guess, calculating stats and some data to see. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of correlation as how they warm up and then, what kind of skills are they building? Because I know Molinari's in the past wasn't known as he's always been known as a ball striker, right? So I think James has done a phenomenal job of helping him understand the type of shots that he needs to play. Obviously, technique. He told me they were working on regulating his angle of attack. So one of the cool drills that I'll share with you that it just makes complete sense of, especially with your good players. I mean, this wouldn't be the drill you would give a 15 handicapper, but he would have him pick a shot. He would give him 3 balls, but then he would give him 3 different landing areas for the shot, right? So he had to land the ball on the first ball, second ball, third ball, and then adjust his trajectory, right, on the fly. Which again, that's what the good players do, right? So they hit it through a certain window, match it up with the landing area. So it was great random practice, I thought, to prepare him for different shots. And you saw him on the course hit low shots, high shots. I mean, he's definitely more versatile now than ever. The other thing I was watching Phil Kenyon work with Henrik Stenson a little bit on putting, and you probably see the drill that I posted a few days ago on my Instagram with the intention with the ghost hole. So I was watching him do that, and I thought that made a lot of sense. You can use that. You don't have to have a ghost hole. You can just use like an old hole plug or something. But when you're working with players on their speed control, varying their intention, I think, is important, because they've got to be able to, again, adjust on the fly, adjust to different slopes, adjust to different putts, whether it's uphill, downhill. Some of the things I do with my mini tour guys. So the drill was just, he had him on the Vizio mat, and he was hitting a relatively flat putt about 8 to 10 feet. But he had a ghost hole, and then he had 3 different dots behind the hole with basically 3 different intentions or speed. So he was having him roll it to each one, and he would just call out, first one, second one, third one, have him vary it. So it's no different than the drill that we do with guys where we have hit a putt and say, all right, we want to drip in, we want middle of the hole, we want back of the hole. But in this fact, you actually get to see where the ball rolls out. Yeah. So instead of like guessing how fast it goes into the hole. So that was the two that kind of stuck out at me. I'm trying to think. I spent a lot of time at the range on Tuesday because it was raining. I was watching the guys work a little bit. I know Como's working with Bryson. I know he is just crazy at preparing. I think every shot he hits in practice, he has a flight scope behind him. He's talking about how the water, affects the terminal velocity of the shot and all that stuff. So that was kind of interesting watching them work a little bit together, him and Mike Shy. But they're all, there wasn't a lot of technical stuff going on. I would say it was more drills, and it was more, I guess, simulated practice stuff. Did you guys see anything when you were?
So more random practice than block practice.
100%.
Tournament days.
Yeah, and you can tell the guys that are struggling because they're in block practice a lot longer than the other guys, right? So Jordan, I know I watched a lot of on the range live on the app, and I know him and Cameron are working pretty hard on his swing, which, you got to do it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter the time. I think sometimes you just got to get in there and fix stuff, but you can kind of tell who's really thinking about a bunch of stuff and who's not. Leaderboard a lot of times reflects it. Brooks wasn't working on a whole lot, so just bombing it, right? I talked to Claude a little bit when I was down there. He's looked like he's still swinging at it pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else.
They made a big deal on the telecast about an answer that Brooks gave to one of the questions. They asked, "What are you thinking about?" And he said, "Absolutely nothing." And so Faldo had a couple thoughts about that were not in agreement. So I wanted to see what you all think.
I mean, obviously he's not thinking about nothing.
He's got to be thinking about something.
But yeah, he's
not a
gotta be-
big
he's gotta
fan
be
of the
thinking
no
about
thought
something.
golf swing. I tell you.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's how he's almost become numb to these, or he seems numb in these big major moments. You know, and Faldo and those guys were ripping him a new one about there's no way you can go around this golf course and not think. Like obviously he's thinking about
No, he's
something. But
probably thinking more target and shape
Again,
and
he's
maybe
thinking more
visual stuff.
He's thinking more intention than he is about technique or anything
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
they're probably he's probably saying he doesn't have a lot of swing thoughts. And
Sure.
you can understand that. It's more, I would say, feel cues or whatever. I didn't really see what his routine looks like. Did he take very many rehearsal swings in his routine? I don't know that he does.
No, it
Maybe a
doesn't
little
seem like it.
couple air swings and then gets up and smashes it. I don't know. What do you think Bryson's thinking about?
I'd like to know.
Yeah, it was funny on I guess Friday and Saturday when those guys were playing well against each other, and it was like you got that one guy that's just all natural, got nothing going on in his mind, and then the other guy who's a scientist.
Him and
he's
DJ
got-
played together. That's
got
what
everything.
when Robbie watched him on Friday.
Yeah.
Like, what did you observe about Bryson that you thought was good, interesting?
Honestly, it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. Honestly, the biggest thing that jumped out to me is like I can't hit a golf ball the way he holds the golf club.
Yeah.
Like when I go down there and
Pretty
try,
unusual grip.
yeah, like super fat grip way up in the palm, basically in the lifeline of the left hand. I went down there and tried. I can't hardly even
How
hit a
much?
golf
I
ball.
mean, is
doing
it a lot of owner that he's got in his grip to
Oh,
grab
yeah.
Oh,
it
for
there?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very weak, right?
yeah.
The left hand's pretty weak.
Yeah,
right
the right hand's almost kind of weak too.
Yeah.
It's not.
They're both on top of the
It's
club.
interesting. Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
But
really figured
he
out how to
smashes
square
it.
it. Yeah,
That's the biggest thing when you ask me what I noticed about Bryson is how long he is. I mean, he's
Yeah.
keeping up. Dustin admittedly broke his driver on 5. So, not out of anger. I think the face just cracked.
face cracked. Yeah,
But even when they hit the same club off the tee, Bryson was right there with him, which was
yeah, it's
surprising.
pretty far, and he definitely underloads at the top. Right, it shows you how little
Big time.
wrist hinge sort of
Lag.
contributes. Yeah, lag a lot of time contributes to club head speed. I mean, not a whole lot of lag or definitely not a whole lot of hinge going on.
Right.
Can't.
Nope.
The way the position of that left hand doesn't lead him to a whole lot of radial.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's other ways to generate speed, and he found a lot of other ways.
Yeah. Anything else? Any interesting tidbits? What's been the feedback from your students? Because we're on, what's today? Wednesday or today's Thursday? Yeah, so it's been a few days, and that's why I wanted to kind of do this while we had it reasonably fresh in our minds before we get into we'll have the Wells Fargo here in a couple weeks, which will be exciting. Have a few coaches
Yeah.
come down and hang out, probably get on the pod.
I guess from a feedback standpoint, one thing I always noticed earlier in Tiger's career is that it was very much a split. When you'd ask people like, "Who are you rooting for?" and a lot of people would say, I don't know, Tiger maybe, and then some people would be like, "Yeah, I'm a huge Tiger fan." Some people say I can't stand him,
Yeah,
but I
he
haven't.
has some haters.
I haven't heard one person that I've asked say that I wasn't rooting for Tiger. I mean, he brought everybody together that day.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, nothing but positive feedback about how incredible that the weekend was, and it was just a special moment, not just in golf but in the sports world. I mean, there was there had to have been, I don't know the television numbers, but that had to be up there when it comes to golf tournaments.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's going to rock the whole sports world like no other. It should be interesting to see going forward now. I mean, what do you think Tiger did after he went home? I always think about that.
Took a nap.
Man, I'm old. I'm tired, man.
I
The
know,
big cat.
I know what Tiger of old would have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
So yeah, I don't know. What's the first drink that he had? That'd be interesting to know.
That's a good question.
Fly on the wall.
Is he? It seems to me like he's gotten most of his abusive behaviors kept to a minimum the last year
Oh,
or so.
yeah.
So maybe
Had to
he's,
have some celebratory.
we'll see.
Yep.
Hopefully, it didn't involve any painkillers.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's out of the question for sure. But
yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on, sharing
you.
some insights, and like I said, just a just felt like we needed to recap and talk about it, because I'm just so thrilled that, one, that I was alive when I got to see him in his prime, and then two, now that I get to see him in his comeback and hopefully break some more records and produce some more golf in the next 4, 5, 6 years. It's gonna be fun and interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, Jason. I look forward to seeing Chris Como on here next week.
Absolutely.
All right.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out the podcast. Thank you for subscribing. Make sure you download this episode and all the previous episodes that you've listened to. I believe we're on episode 57. So lots to get caught up on if you're new to the pod. If not, thank you for catching up. Thank you to the guys. I'm so proud of my staff. Robbie Fales, Seth Mers. Awesome that they get to come on occasionally and share their insights on golf and golf instruction. So reach out to those guys and follow them. Seth is Seth Mers Golf on Instagram and Twitter. Robbie is Rob Fales Golf on Instagram and Twitter, and those guys are putting out some incredible content, so check them out. Also follow me if you're not already following me. What is the deal? Golf Guru TV on Instagram and the Twitter, and hit me up on Facebook if you're a golf teacher or passionate about golf. I will friend you up. So you can also reach out to me on the email. The golf show email is golfgurushow@gmail.com, and let me know what you think. What's going on? Give me your take on Tiger's win and what it meant to you and what you think it means to golf going forward, and what do you see is going to happen in the future. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to get some more feedback. Shoot me an email, hit me up on the DM, and I will talk to you next time, as I leave you with, every time, the infamous Jim Rohn quote: study, practice, teach, and then pass it on. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening.